Have you ever seen the dead return, not in spirit, but in flesh? Yes. It was Margaret. The woman everyone thought was gone, yet she walked into her own burial. It was a cold, quiet night. The sky was dark, the wind was heavy, and even the moon refused to shine. Somewhere near a silent river, a woman named Margaret was on her knees, trembling, confused, and begging to understand why the people she loved most had turned against her. She had no idea that her husband and her best friend had already decided her fate. Margaret was a hard-working woman. She started with nothing, no wealth, no name, no help. But through patience, faith, and sacrifice, she built everything she had. Her business grew, her name carried respect, and everyone admired her. She was kind to people, she helped the poor, and she shared her blessings freely. But her success became her curse. Her husband, Andrew, once loved her. But the more successful she became, the smaller he felt. Each time she paid the bills, he felt like less of a man. Each time she made a decision, his pride cracked a little more. Soon, love turned to envy. And in the shadows of that envy, his heart became dark. Then there was Rose, Margaret's best friend, the one who smiled in her face but secretly envied her every achievement. Rose had always wanted Margaret's life, her beauty, her respect, her wealth. And when she saw Andrew's weakness, she saw her chance. She comforted him at first, pretending to understand his pain, but slowly she became his secret companion. What began as sympathy grew into an affair. And when greed joined their hearts, they became one in evil. One evening, Margaret sat with Andrew and told him about something she was happy about, her life insurance policy. It was worth $50,000, and she said she made it so that if anything ever happened to her, he wouldn't suffer. She said it was for their future, their peace, their home. But Andrew didn't hear love. He heard numbers. And to him and Rose, those numbers sounded like freedom. From that moment, they planned everything. Andrew told Rose, if she dies accidentally, the insurance will pay me everything. And Rose smiled, saying, then we make it look like an accident. So they waited. They acted normal, laughed, cooked, and smiled with her, until one calm evening, Andrew told Margaret, let's take a walk by the river. She loved the idea. The river was peaceful. She didn't know she was walking into death. When they reached the riverbank, Andrew held her hand gently. They talked, they laughed. But behind him, in the shadows, Rose was waiting. Margaret turned and saw her friend there. She smiled, surprised. But before she could even ask why she was there, Andrew pushed her. Her scream filled the night, but no one heard it. The river swallowed her body as Rose stood smiling beside him. They waited until she stopped moving. Then they pulled her out, pretending to be heartbroken. Together, they carried her to the mortuary. They paid the attendant and said she drowned by accident. Money exchanged hands, and the truth disappeared. By morning, Andrew became the picture of grief. He ran from house to house, crying loudly, shouting that his wife had drowned. People wept with him. They believed him. They said, he truly loved his wife. And Rose. She stayed by his side, pretending to mourn, pretending to comfort him. But deep down, they were counting the days until the insurance company would pay. They thought it was over. They thought they had fooled everyone. But they didn't know that death had refused to take Margaret. Because sometimes, when the world buries you, God digs you back out, just to show your enemies that you cannot be destroyed. On the day of the burial, Andrew and Rose arrived at the mortuary to carry the coffin. As they approached, they noticed a black cloth covering Margaret's face. The attendant shook his head and whispered quietly that her face had started to decay strangely, and that was why he had covered it. He told them not to uncover it yet. Andrew and Rose exchanged uneasy glances, wondering if something was wrong. But the attendant's words carried authority, and they nodded, unaware that he was hiding something even they did not know. The coffin was carried out slowly. People gathered, their faces full of sorrow, holding tissues and each other. The air felt heavy, as if even the world was holding its breath. Andrew walked at the front, looking broken, every step weighed with grief. Behind him, Rose stayed close, her hand brushing his arm, her face showing sympathy. Everyone believed them. No one could see the darkness hidden behind their eyes. The coffin was placed on the ground. The priest began his prayers, calm and steady, wrapping the crowd in words of comfort. Andrew knelt, shoulders shaking, tears running down his face. Friends whispered kind words, trying to soothe him. Everything looked perfect, like a real tragedy. Rose stayed close, pretending to mourn, but her eyes betrayed fear. The shovels began to dig, hitting the earth slowly. The coffin started to lower into the ground. Everyone was silent, waiting, as if holding their breath. Then, suddenly, a voice cut through the quiet. It was weak at first, but alive, real. The crowd froze. Hearts pounded. Confusion spread. Andrew's face went pale. Rose stumbled back, eyes wide. People whispered, unsure what they were seeing. The coffin, half lowered, seemed heavier, like it held a secret no one understood. The voice came again, stronger this time. It was Margaret. Alive. Hidden, but her presence stopped everything. Everyone stared, frozen in shock. Andrew and Rose could barely breathe. And then a chilling thought hit: if she is standing in front of them, alive and speaking, who is inside the coffin? The burial had started, but it would not end, not yet. The crowd went silent. No one moved. Every face turned in shock as a woman walked slowly toward the grave. It was Margaret, alive, weak, but standing. The same woman everyone thought was dead. She was not alone. Police officers and the mortuary attendant walked beside her, guiding her carefully. People gasped, some screamed, others fell to their knees in fear. Andrew and Rose could not believe their eyes. Their faces turned pale, their bodies shook. The woman they had buried was now standing before them, breathing and alive. Andrew rushed to the coffin in confusion. His hands trembled as he pulled away the white cloth that covered the face of the body. What he saw made his whole body collapse. Inside the coffin was another woman. It was not Margaret. The woman standing in front of him was not a ghost. It was his wife, the same one he had tried to end. Before they could run, the police surrounded Andrew and Rose. The truth they had buried was now standing right before them. The crowd gathered closer as Margaret began to speak. Her voice was weak but clear. She told them how, on the night she was taken to the mortuary, something strange happened. Just when the attendant was about to place her among the dead, she sneezed. The man was frightened and almost ran to call her husband, but Margaret stopped him. With tears in her eyes, she told him everything, how her husband and best friend had betrayed her and how they planned her death. The mortuary attendant was shocked but decided to help her. Together, they called the police and made a secret plan. They wanted Andrew and Rose to believe she was truly dead. They waited quietly until the day of her burial, so the truth could be revealed before everyone. When Margaret finished her story, silence filled the air. People could not hold back their tears. They looked at Andrew and Rose with disgust. The police handcuffed them as they cried and begged for mercy, but no one pitied them. Margaret wiped her tears as she watched them being taken away. The pain was deep. The same man she loved, and the same friend she trusted, had tried to destroy her. But she was alive, and that was enough reason to thank God. From that day, she promised to start a new life, one filled with peace, not pain. She decided to build again, not with money, but with love, wisdom, and people who truly valued her. And as the sun broke through the clouds that day, everyone learned a powerful lesson. They learned that no matter how deep people bury you, if your heart is pure, life will lift you again. They learned that jealousy can destroy even the strongest love. And they learned that a man should see his wife's success as a blessing, not a curse, because when a woman rises, her home rises with her. Sometimes, life allows people to be buried alive, not to end them, but to let them rise again, stronger, wiser, and unshakable. If this story reached you, make it reach others too, because stories like this, they don't come by easily. Share, like and subscribe.